Senator Uche Lilian Ekunife Iyom.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Uche Lilian Ekunife Iyom. Mr. President, I represent Anambra Central and from Anambra State. Mr. President, the Senate notes with discomfort a recent investigation which revealed the ease with which medical reports can be obtained from some public hospitals in Nigeria for a fee and without requiring any medical test or even proof of identity. Mr. President, the Senate is worried that this commercialization of medical reports poses a grave danger to the medical health and safety of our citizens and could result in fatal misdiagnosis of patients or anyone else who relies on the contents of such medical reports. The Senate recognizes the importance of this medical report on a document which is accorded great weight and importance in the ordinary course of our day-to-day business, including courts of law. The Senate recognizes further that the medical report contains an individual's personal medical records and details, which are used to ascertain a person's medical condition, obtain health benefits, certify one's mental state, investigate addictions, diagnose treatments, and most importantly, ascertain and form medical opinions. The Senate regrets that the integrity of the medical report is being compromised and eroded by the realization that it may not contain the true and accurate medical details of the person named in the report. The Senate is aware that the Code of Ethics of the medical profession abhors the illegal issuance of medical certificates and records to patients without conducting all the relevant tests. The Senate further aware that guidelines exist in the medical profession which prescribe these conducts, but no effective implementation of these regulations. And the Senate is desirous of curbing what appears to be a trend of commercialization of medical reports in some public hospitals, where authentic medical reports are obtained for a fee and without undergoing any tests whatsoever. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate accordingly resolves: 1. To direct the Federal Ministry of Health to set up an efficient and proper mechanism to identify and prevent this very dangerous trend in public hospitals, and also to urge Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, to identify its efforts, to intensify its efforts in checking incidences of fraud and quackery in the medical profession, especially in our public hospitals. Mr. President, I so move.
Thank you very much.
Your Excellency. Your Excellency, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Theodore A. Oji Ochen. I represent Abia Central, and I stand to support this wonderful bill, that wonderful motion raised by my sister Senator Lilian Ekunife Iyom. And in looking at this bill, I look at it from this motion, I look at it from two perspectives. What she has said is what is happening today. There's no doubt about it. If a civil servant wants to abscond for a few days from job, he goes to a doctor to get a paper, and the doctor will concoct lies and submit, and the civil servant will stay for 1 month, 2 months without coming to work, and he's covered. That happens in every sphere of the society. Now, but there are laws made by the medical practitioners that should be obeyed, but which is not obeyed. The major factor is this insatiable quest for money by these doctors. They want to get rich overnight. Therefore, the best way to do it is to issue fake medical certificates and collect money from these people without caring on the damages this will have on the individual and the society. Therefore, I agree with her that the medical profession should be called upon, especially the Nigerian Medical Association, should be called upon to make sure that they monitor their people in issuing these certificates. Secondly, Your Excellency, my distinguished people, we have two major laws in this world. One is the mundane law. The other one is the spiritual law, which is superior to the mundane law. And the spiritual law says, thou shalt not lie. Don't tell lies. It is contained in the Bible, it's contained in the Quran. And these doctors, either they are Christians or Muslims, and they stay there and they concoct high-level lies that are laced with medical balance. When they give it to you, when you read it, you are confused the more with the terms that they install in the medical report. If we are spiritually all right, which is what we should be, I don't think a sane doctor will sit down in his office and issue fake medical certificate full of lies to somebody who has come to me. Why not have the courage and tell, look, I will not do this. You are whole and healthy. Go to work or do this or do that. Or advise the person on the best way to go about it. But we just issue fake medical certificate with lies to the person, and the man will parade it and do whatever he wants to do with it, thereby damaging the image of himself, the doctor, the profession, and the country, and the economy of the country also. Therefore, Your Excellency, I agree with her that this should be stopped. And the best way to stop it.
Mr. President, I'm aware that efforts have been made in the past by government to curb the proliferation and circulation of fake drugs. Mr. President, this new development, the current innuendos and insinuations that is gradually permeating the psyche of the average Nigerian of fake medical reports certainly combines with the existence of fake drugs to pose imminent danger to the life of our people and our respect for institutions of government. Mr. President, there is no doubt that the Nigerian legal system depends to a large extent in some instances on medical reports to advocate on issues that border sometimes on criminality. And if medical reports are commercialized and can be purchased very freely and willingly, then, Mr. President, innocent persons are very vulnerable to conviction on criminal charges. Mr. President, the danger of this, even to our lives, is more worrisome. That you get fake medical reports for the purpose that are not even intended to harm lives, but can constitute grave danger to lives. Because diagnoses are definitely going to be based and predicated on medical reports. Mr. President, I think we should all express our gratitude to our sister here for drawing our attention to this grave danger and to ask government and its agencies to take up the challenge of not just creating awareness and sensitizing our citizens on the need to be very wary of medical reports, but also to ensure that proper government agencies take up the challenge of sanctioning people who are identified as purveyors of commercial and fake medical reports. It is in this line, Mr. President, that I support this motion and ask that our Committee on Motion Compliance will ensure that this motion gets the attention that it so deserves. So I so support this motion, Mr. President. Thank you.
Very distinguished Senator, Professor.
Distinguished colleagues, across the world, Nigerian medical doctors are rated as some of the best. 2 years ago, I was in the United States, and the doctor I met told me that he met a certain Dr. Showemimo in the UK. They were both students in the postgraduate school. And that this guy was so brilliant that even when they were students together, he was teaching him medicine. He was a Pakistani medical doctor. In a recent visit to the UK, medical doctors out there who were English confirmed to me that some of the best and smartest doctors they have in the UK are Nigerians. Mr. President, some of these doctors return home and practice here. But they are bogged down by the system. Systemic corruption, systemic inadequacies hamper their practice. Some of them refuse to return because of these same vices. This motion raised by our colleague,
Chief Whip.
bad medical reports, fake medical reports, lead to avoidable deaths. Mr. President, there is also integrity about the kind of medical reports you present out of this country. If you're going out of this country for medical attention, and you go with reports that upon investigation are found to be radically different from what it should be, it speaks to who you are as a person and who you are as a citizen of this country. Recently, I'm glad to announce, Mr. President, that some of the reports I took from a medical facility here in Abuja outside were all confirmed to be true and correct and appropriate. I felt very proud as a citizen of this country. What that means is that tomorrow I can go to that facility here in Abuja and I'm confident that the kind of medical attention given me is proper. If this is also the case for many of us, there will be no need for us to be going outside of this country to seek medical attention when we have the right medical personnel here and the system is properly run. I therefore want to join my colleague, Senator Kunife, to say that something must be done by the appropriate authorities in Nigeria to ensure there is systemic purification. Let the appropriate reports come out of our medical facilities. I so support. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Ike Ekweremadu, former.
I rise to join in supporting this debate because of the level of unprofessionalism that's going on amongst our so-called professions. In engineering today, we have cases of collapsed buildings. Lives are lost because of the unethical practices within the profession. In accountancy, we see accountants issuing fake reports, audit reports, that sometimes let the government or maybe their clients lose a lot of money. The same thing in my own profession, the legal profession. But now today we are discussing about the medical profession. I believe that if you call yourself a professional, there's some basic ethical conduct that should be required of you. If you issue a report, it should be taken to the banks. But certainly this is not the case. And I'll just tell you a little story of my experience with the medical report while I was in active legal practice. Many years ago, I was doing a case involving murder. My client was eventually acquitted because he didn't commit the offense. But something interesting happened in the course of the trial. My clients had requested that we file a motion for a bail so that he'll be out of the prison while we conduct the trial. And because it's a murder case, and I told them that what the law requires is that you have to show exceptional circumstance. You have to show that there's something exceptional for the bail to be granted. And one of the reasons you can give is if you show that the detainee is suffering from a medical condition which the prison authorities cannot provide services. So I had this conversation with my clients. So the next day they came up with a report from one of the teaching hospitals. So we filed a motion for the bail. So days later, the matter came up for hearing, and we received a counter affidavit. Now, the report we got from the hospital was to the fact that the man was suffering from a particular disease. He had a particular medical condition which the prison couldn't give him sufficient medical attention. And so, unfortunately, we received a counter affidavit which disputed our claim. Now, when the matter came up for trial, it was shown that the particular ailment for which my client was supposed to be suffering was actually not a condition in which the particular department that we got the report was supposed to handle. And we felt totally embarrassed. Totally embarrassed. So and I think that this experience we have each day, that's why this motion is very important, that it is important that we also emphasize that professionals need to be really professionals, so that any report coming from a doctor should be taken seriously. So I join hands in supporting this motion, and I think that beyond the general ethical conduct we have in professions and the way they deal with it, because each profession has their own ethics and how they deal with it, I think the time has come for us to have a law that provides on how professionals should conduct themselves in matters such as this, so that we'll be able to save ourselves from unnecessary embarrassment both within and outside Nigeria. So I support this motion.
Senator Bala Ibn Allah.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, Mr. President, I said when you recognize distinguished Senator Eke Ekweremadu, you said former DSP. I thought I will have the same accord. You say former Deputy Senate Leader. With due respect, I have looked at this motion. I have no problem with the motion in view of the fact that distinguished Senator Uche, I know very well, always want to intervene in issues that are very, very germane to professions. My difficulty stems from the fact that this recent investigation, we don't have details about who conducted the investigation and what came out of it. Otherwise, it will be a better way for us to have directed this motion, the prayers of this motion, so that the purpose for which the motion is being tabled before the Senate can be achieved with less problem. Mr. President, I am not a medical doctor, but I know that some of my colleagues here are. When we talk of medical reports, there are comprehensive medical reports. They are just mere medical reports that will show that maybe you are unable to attend something or you are unable to go to work or whatever it is. So who should have distinguished between these two? Because what I know is that when you are conducting comprehensive medical reports, it's not one doctor that can look at you and say you are okay. You conduct tests from different, the lab technician will do the test, the ophthalmologist will do his own, and various departments will do their own before a comprehensive report is being put together to now assess the medical condition of a patient. That I know is the usual practice. So that's why I said the refusal to disclose the source of this investigation has not been too helpful to this motion. But the motion
to set up an efficient and proper mechanism to identify and prevent this very dangerous trend in public hospitals. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And prayer 2, urge the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, to intensify its effort in checking incidences of fraud and quackery in the medical profession, especially in public hospitals. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.